Well, praise the Lord, everybody. Welcome to our 10-minute table talk. I am Pastor Holman, and today I want to talk to you out of the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is written to us by a man named Solomon. Solomon, of course, being the son of King David, the second son after his first son had died because of David's transgression. Solomon is a man by which Jesus himself said was the wisest man of the earth. Solomon was not only a wise man, but he was a very temporal man. In 1 Kings chapter number 3, we've learned that God comes to Solomon and says, ask whatever you will, and it will be given unto you. At that point, God had given him a blank check, and he literally could have wrote anything on the line. But instead, Solomon prayed for wisdom. And because he prayed for wisdom, this is what God said. Because you did not ask for riches, because you did not ask for the life of your enemies, because you did not ask for your kingdom to be extended, but you asked for wisdom, I am going to give you wisdom and even all of the things that you did not ask for. The Bible records that Solomon was one of the richest men to ever live. As a matter of fact, if you trace his wealth from his day to our day and include the cost of inflation, Solomon would be worth a whopping $4 trillion. He was an extremely wealthy man. But not only was he wealthy, he was a wise man, and not the wisdom that is in the clouds. He had practical wisdom because of life experiences. And that's what Ecclesiastes teaches us. Solomon said that I did everything that my heart desired. I chased everything that could be chased. Whatever my eyes wanted, I gave unto my eyes. Whatever I desired, I satisfied that desire. That's what the book of Ecclesiastes is. And then he says that after doing all of that, he comes to this term, all is vanity. After he chases everything, after he spends all of his money, after he does all of the women, after he does all of his exploits and all of the things that he wanted to do, he gets to the end of the book of Ecclesiastes in chapter number 12, verse number 9, and here's his conclusion. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. He pondered and set out many proverbs. The preacher sought to find in acceptable words of what was written upright and words of truth. He says in verse number 12, and further, my son, be admonished by these. Of making of many books there is no end, and of much study is wearisome to the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Here's what Solomon said. At the end of his life, chasing everything that he chased, he said, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. What an amazing statement by a man that was worth $4 trillion. A man that God used to build the temple. A man that spared no expense when it came to his own life. A man whose very tongue dripped wisdom. A man who was wise beyond his years. Here's what he said all of life comes down to. Fearing God, keeping his commandments, because that is man's all. Whatever you're chasing right now, when you eventually catch up to it, you'll find out it wasn't worth the chase. Whatever you're putting your time, energy, and effort into, you will soon find out that it was not worth it. The only thing that has lasting value is what you place in God. The only thing that will satisfy you for years and even eternity to come is what you place in God's hands. Solomon teaches us here that the things in which we chase, the money, the prestige, the material items, the plaques on the walls, the cars, the houses, the clothes, and everything that we think is of value, at the end of the day, you can't take none of that with you. And so Solomon says this, at the end of all things, here's what you should do. Fear God, keep his commandments, because that is man's all. I want to encourage you that right now we are living in a time of ill content. We're living in a time right now where people are not satisfied. We're living in a time right now where the money that we're making is not enough money to make. The house that we're living in is not a big enough house. The car that we're driving is not a new enough car. We're living in a time of ill content. But saints of God, I want to encourage you with the words of Solomon, that all is vanity. That after we spent our last, after we've worked time in and time out to get that very thing that we said we could not live without, after you get it in your hands, after you ponder what it took to get it, you'll realize and you'll ask yourself a very important question. Was it worth it? That's what Solomon got to at the end of his life. He looked back at all the years that he had walked and asked himself this question. Was it worth it? Think about the things that you're laying on the altar as you go after whatever you're going after. Think about the authentic relationships that are being fractured because you're placing more time and energy in your work, in your career. Think about the things that should matter that don't matter because they are replaced with things that will ultimately flee. Think about the things that matter and spend your time, energy, and effort chasing those things. Spend time with relationships. Spend time in conversation. Never miss an opportunity to tell somebody you love them. Never miss an opportunity to forgive. Never miss an opportunity to tell that person that they're special. Here's what Solomon said. When it's all said and done, the role of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. I want to encourage you. Don't get so overwhelmed by this world that you lose your way. Don't get so caught up into what this world says is important that you miss out on the very things that are really important. Don't get caught up in what you see in the TV and chasing after the Joneses and trying to get this and trying to get that while sacrificing the things in life that ultimately matter. Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is man's all. He says finally that God will bring into judgment every secret thing, whether good or evil. Just know that when it's all said and done, the stuff that we've done publicly, even the stuff that we've done in the past, even the stuff that we've done when nobody else is watching, Solomon says that God's going to bring all of that into judgment. Think about what you're doing before you do it and ask yourself a pivotal question. Is it worth it? Fear God, keep his commandments, for this is man's all. God bless you.